Let's get more on this. Joining us live from Santa Monica, California's William Lee is the chief economist with the Milken Institute think tank. Thank you for your time, sir. Who or what is to blame for America's spiraling credit card debt?
We just heard that the Federal Reserve told us that the U.S. economy is doing quite well. And yet we have a situation where the U.S. Population is becoming more and more stratified. There are the haves and the have-nots, and that divide has gotten even bigger. And I think the problem with credit cards is really affecting the people who are living paycheck to paycheck, hand to mouth, and they're resorting to credit cards to try to tide themselves over. And that's the situation that we're facing, increasingly difficult situation. Yes, the credit card burden is higher than it's ever been before, but the adjusted for inflation, we really haven't reached the highs that we've seen since the Great Recession in 2009. So I think one of the things to keep in mind is how much of a burden is this truly on represent a burden for the middle class and those who are at the lower end of the income distribution.
Right.
Another number that you should keep in
So, so,
mind,
so
by the
just to
way,
be
is
clear,
that
just to be clear, sir, what you're saying is, yes,
sure.
it hurts the people that it affects, but it's not necessarily affecting the wider economy.
Absolutely. The overall economy, as I said, is doing quite well, but it's that distributional impact is where the concern is. One of the things to keep in mind is that if you look at the overall economy, the interest burden represented by credit cards is only about 10% of people's income. It was much higher back in the great financial crisis, closer to 13, 14% of their income. So the burden is high in aggregate. But when you look at where it's really affecting people the most, it's at the lower end. And people are becoming more and more discontent because at that lower end, they feel that their wages are not keeping up with prices. Their wages are not keeping up with inflation. And the resentment is being pointed toward the policies of Joe Biden. And because under Donald Trump, they were saying, well, we noticed that our incomes are actually rising faster than inflation. We were not having these debt burdens as much as we are now. Why is it that we are having to resort to more and more borrowing under an administration that says, I am pro-union, pro-workers, pro the little guy? And so that contradiction is getting more and more discussed in the discussions of every family table.
You're right. I mean, Biden is in a tricky situation when it comes to the economy because of perception. Is there anything he can do about it? How can he change that?
One of the things that we have to realize is that the economy itself is changing. Job opportunities are going towards skilled workers, and the skills vary. I mean, skills can be of the sort that allows you to work at the Amazon warehouse. Now, the warehouse worker, the blue-collar worker, is no longer the strong guy with the ability to drive a forklift, but the guy who runs a robotics terminal. So training is absolutely critical. Getting people the right set of skills to be able to work in these newer jobs is absolutely critical. And the people at the lower end of the income distribution are facing a double whammy problem. Not only do they not have the skills, but they don't have the opportunity to get the skills. And one of the policies that I think that can address this problem is to have the appropriate training, incentivizing companies to train the kind of workers they need, not relying on outdated professors and outdated school curricula.
Okay, good to talk to you. William Lee, chief economist with the Milken Institute think tank. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.